Hey guys, I hope you all had a great Christmas break and you're ready to go back at it with your schoolwork this week. The way things are looking right now, looks like you guys are going to be virtual this week with NTI. Hopefully, after this week, we will be going back to the AB hybrid schedule where you guys will be able to come back to school a couple of days a week. So, when we hear more information, you guys are going to be the first to know. So we will keep you updated with that stuff. As far as NTI goes this week, the first thing that I am going to have you guys cover is simplifying fractions. We started that before Christmas break. I gave you guys a little bit of practice. So today it's just a review, and I'm going to talk to you maybe about an easier way to simplify fractions, a way that might be quicker, and the rest of the week, we will talk about other basic concepts with fractions as far as changing improper fractions to mixed numbers and mixed numbers to improper fractions. These are all important concepts to understand before we get into the real meat of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fractions. So I like using these fraction riddles to practice. So we are going to be practicing simplifying fractions today and tomorrow. You have 2 days to work on this. So the riddle is on slide 2 and slide 3. Question 1 is saying to write the fraction below in simplest terms. Okay, so we have the fraction 25/50ths, 25 over 50. So the week before Christmas break, we talked about finding common factors between the numerator and the denominator. One thing we did was find the greatest common factor of the two numbers. I'm just going to talk to you today about how to brainstorm and think that through in your head instead of doing all the work out on paper. If you have to write out your factor pairs and find common factors that way, that's perfectly fine, but that is the long way around it. So, say we start out with question 1, we have 25 over 50. The easiest and fastest way to simplify this is to think, what's a common factor of 25 and 50? What can I divide both of these numbers by? Something that really pops out with this, with your divisibility rules, is if a number ends in a 5 or a 0, it's divisible by 5. So we automatically know that 25, we can divide that by 5, and we can divide 50 by 5. So to simplify it, I have to divide the numerator and denominator by 5 to make it equivalent. So I'm going to divide both of them by 5. And 25 divided by 5 would be 5. And 50 divided by 5 would be 10. So one trick with this was not finding the greatest common factor. This was just finding a common factor. 5 was just a common factor. It's not the greatest. So 5/10 is actually not completely simplified. You can also check your answer key here. If you looked for 5/10 on your answer key, it doesn't show up as an answer anywhere here. So if you don't find your answer on the answer key, that's telling you that you need to go back and simplify it again, or go back and see where the error was. If for some reason you can't find the answer and you can't simplify it to get one of those answers in the answer key, just send me a message and let me know, and I'll help you work through it. So since 5/10 is not on the answer key, we need to ask ourselves, is there something else that we can divide 5 and 10 by? Yes, there is. We can divide both of those numbers by 5 again. I'm just going to copy and paste these. We're going to divide by 5 again. And when we divide by 5 this time, I'm going to grab the equal sign. I'm going to put my answer down here at the bottom. 5 divided by 5 is going to be 1. And 10 divided by 5 is going to be 2. Okay, I'm going to see if 1/2 is in my answer key. It is. It's right here. And the answer is D. So for question 1, I'm going to put D in that box. Okay. I'm also going to do question 2 with you. We have 32 and 40. So two different numbers, the numerator and denominator, we want to find a common factor. It doesn't have to be the greatest common factor, but the larger the common factor you find, the faster you're going to get through the simplification. So what can we divide 32 and 40 by? So a couple of common factors, you can divide them both by 2 because they're both even. You can also divide them both by 4. You can also divide them both by 8. So since 8, off the top of my head, is the largest one that we have in common, I'm going to go ahead and divide both of those by 8. When we divide 32 by 8, we are going to get 4. 40 divided by 8, we're going to get 5. 4/5 is simplified. I'm going to look for it in the answer key. 4/5 is right here, and it's U. So number 2 is U. Okay. I was also going to do number 3 with you guys. We have 24 and 66. Okay. The largest thing off the top of my head that I can think of that we can divide 24 and 66 by would be 6. Okay, so I'm going to try dividing both of them by 6 and see if I get a simplified fraction. 24 divided by 6 is going to be 4. 66 divided by 6 is going to be 11. Okay, there's nothing else I can divide 4 and 11 by that's a common factor, so 4/11 is simplified. I'm going to look for it in my answer key. There it is. The answer is L, so 3 is going to be L. Okay. Let me look through some of these problems. You do need to answer some of these yourselves. If you work them out in the slides that I've put on here, you don't have to fill out these squares. If you just want to fill out these squares, like work them out on paper and fill them out on these squares, that's fine too. Let me try to find a harder problem to do with you guys. Okay, that one should be pretty easy. They're both divisible by 5. There's also a higher number you can divide those two by if you can figure it out. 26 and 64, 10 and 25, that should be pretty easy. That one I gave you a little hint. This one might be a little tricky. So let me talk about this one. I'll do number 8 with you guys. Okay, so we have 48 over 92. Okay, you might not be thinking of multiplication facts that will get 92. 92 will not be found on your multiplication chart. But there is one thing that would help you is figuring out that 92 and 48 are both even. Because for an even number to be divisible by 2, it has to end in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Okay, 92 ends with a 2, 48 ends with an 8. They're both even. You can divide them both by 2. So 48 divided by 2, you would have to work that out. I don't have any long division slides on here. You can work those long division problems out on paper. Oops. But we are dividing both of them by 2. So if you did 48 divided by 2, you would get 24. So I'm going to put 24 as my numerator. 92 divided by 2 would be 46. So I'm going to put 46 there. And we have a problem that these are not simplified fractions. One way I know for a fact they're not simplified is because 24 and 46 are both even numbers. That means that you can still divide them both by 2. Can't really think of anything else that you can divide 46 by in your multiplication chart, but we do know it can be divisible by 2 because it ends in an even number. So I'm going to divide by 2 again and see what we get. So 24 divided by 2 is going to be 12. 46 divided by 2 is going to be 23. 23 is a prime number. That means that there are no other factors other than 1 in itself. You can only divide it by 1 in itself. 12 is not divisible by 23. Therefore, there are no common factors other than 1. So 12 over 23 is simplified. So I'm going to look for that in my answer key, 12 over 23. And it is answer D. So D was question 8. So over the number 8, I'm going to put a D. So again, these slides are just to help you work the problems out. If you would prefer to work them out on paper, that's fine. If you can figure it out in your head, that's fine. You're just practicing finding that common factor and dividing by it until you have the simplest fraction possible. Okay, so you are either required to fill out the problem slides to show your work, or you have to fill out your answers that you got in slide number 2. You have to answer at least one of those things. The answer key for the riddle is extra credit. If you do that riddle, it'll be an extra point. So if you guys have any other questions about how to work this riddle out, how to work the problems out, let me know. I'll set up a Google form, Google Meet, and I'll meet with you guys to walk you through it. Good luck. Have a great week. Hopefully I see you in person next week. And I will keep you guys updated with anything else. See ya.